Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you some Infernus gameplay while we talk about Deadlock as an esport. This video is going to be barely edited, it's just going to be me talking over gameplay like I said, but let's just have a conversation about Deadlock and its potential as a professional game, as a competitive game, and as potentially an esport. So the distinction that I want to draw first is that an esport is not the same as a competitive game. When we talk about an esport, we're talking about like a massive game, right? We're talking about like a game of CS size or like league size, where there's like fucking arenas and shit like that. I'm not talking about like for example, Smite. Even Smite, as a to a degree, you could say, was an esport, but I wouldn't say that it was quite there. I would say that it was just a competitive game with like an esports scene. But when we talk about an esport, there's a few categories that the game needs to fulfill, and I think the most important one, first of all, is the actual gameplay. The gameplay loop in this game, in Deadlock, I feel like is one of the most satisfying gameplay loops I've ever played in a game in a long time, at least. Like I can't remember a time where I had more fun with a game, to be honest. When I first started playing this game, and my friend invited me to the game, and I was playing Valorant before that, but I immediately dropped Valorant. I was like, okay, new game, let's try it out. Let's see what we can do with this. When I started playing this game, I was immediately like, I guess, charmed by the actual feeling of the gameplay. Like the mechanics in this game just feel absolutely fucking beautiful to like play and to use. When you outplay an opponent, or even when you're doing something as simple as like farming, it just feels good. It feels impactful. It feels nice. It feels fun to play. Very beginner and like I guess kid friendly, or like, you know, there's like a whole e-dater groups of gamers. It's very friendly to them as well, I would say. Maybe it's a little complex, but I think the graphics are like cartoony enough to kind of be like Valorant and like allow people to play. But definitely, if they want to open that market to like more casuals, they need to have like a different game mode, like maybe like a Twisted Tree Line League of Legends, like League of Legends game mode. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, when we talk about esports, of course the mechanics are the mechanics of the game. Like the actual gameplay is very important, but there's levels beyond that, like team play and the like the mid to late game in the actual game, like how it feels and the way that it plays out, balancing, of course, all important things. But I don't want to talk about basic things along those lines. So I think anybody can think of those if they like put enough thoughts into it. What I really want to touch on is my thoughts on the potential of the game in general compared to other big games like Valorant, CS:GO, and League. I think this game definitely has the potential. Um, it is a little bit complex for the average viewer, I would say. So that's definitely something that I'm curious to see how it will play out on like an arena kind of stage where like people are like watching and like more casual players are watching. I think, like I said before, the character models are like friendly enough, and like it's kind of like hypey enough that even someone who's not completely aware of what's happening would enjoy watching it. But yeah, that's something we're gonna have to see with time. Now, the main important thing that distinguishes whether a game has esports potential, in my opinion, is the competitive nature of the game. And Valve doesn't have too good of a track record with ranking systems, but I do have hope that in this game they'll make a good one. And even if they don't, then again we'll probably have like ESCA or Face It, things along those lines that will um, kind of make up for a poor ranking system. But yeah, a good competitive nature is important, and I think this game actually has a lot of competitive potential, especially because the game is extremely mechanically and like it's both like micro and macro, very high skill ceilings. So I think that there's a lot of potential for players to get better and to improve. And with the skill ceiling of the game being so high, it creates a lot of competitiveness in the game, which like it creates replayability. Because a lot of competitive players, they don't actually care about like the fun or like the newness of the game. They really care more about if it's competitive, and this game is pretty competitive. Now, will this game make it as an esport? I would like to think so. I think that it might, but the biggest barriers or the biggest problems with its ability to do that will definitely be player base and like complexity. I think the game is a bit complex. Ten's, I already said that, right? But Ten's professional Valorant player also touched on that after playing the game. He said that it was a little complex, and I agree. It is definitely, like, there's just a lot of shit going on. But I think so long as there are enough players in the game who are willing to spend time learning it, there will be enough of like a viewer base. But we don't want a tiny little viewer base like Smite. We want a big viewer base. We want like a big game, you know, that makes it to the big leagues. And despite this being redundant, the game does have a lot of mechanical, like a really good mechanical feel to it. So I think in that sense, it will definitely make it to the big leagues. But it's just a matter of how many players we can actually get playing the game. Obviously, 100k concurrent is good, which is basically where the game has been sitting around. But it's nowhere near the numbers that we would like to see at the highest level, especially of like an esport. Like we want to get to like the millions, you know, we want to have millions of concurrent players. Taking a look at the game's tournaments and like sort of things that have happened already, we can kind of figure that there's like a certain layout that the game can have, which is like the ban and draft system. And I participated in one of the tournaments, so I kind of have like a general feel for what the tournaments are gonna look like, which is so far I think it's been fine. I think there's a lot of room for improvement still with the pick and draft system. I think it's a little bit like primitive right now. But again, like we're talking about a game that's not even been fully released yet, so of course there's going to be a lot of improvements made with time. In the long run, I think the game definitely does have the potential to make it as a pro game, as a competitive esport. But like I said before, the biggest barriers are going to be the complexity of the game and the player base and competitive system, because the player base of the game is not going to be that high without a good competitive system. And I think we need a good competitive system in terms of like the ranked mode and things like that in order for the player base to grow and grow. I think so long as we have a good competitive scene, the game will definitely be able to thrive, and the more players we get, the better chance we'll have of getting having a good esports scene. Like I said before, when it comes to the actual gameplay itself, I don't think there's really anything to complain about. So yeah, all in all, I think this game definitely has the potential to make it as an esport, albeit with the barriers that I talked about. But I hope that it does make it, because I've been playing it a lot and I've been having a lot of fun. And I hope that everyone else who's been playing has been having a lot of fun with the game as well. I mean, I had enough fun with the game to make YouTube videos about it, which, like, in all the other games I played, I never really thought about doing. So yeah, I hope that one day it does make it big as an esport, and I think that it has a pretty decent potential. I would put it at like a 50-50 of making it big out there. Really, the most important thing, like I said before, is the player count. If the player base is massive, then there will be an esports scene, like undoubtedly. So if we have like 1 million concurrent players, then definitely there will be an esports scene in a competitive game like this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up, whatever, if you made it to the end. You don't really have to if you don't want to. Peace.